1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
This one. Polo karek safa na mikura. Pele safia mo.
Good morning again. Let me suspend the friendship of this morning. We may pick it up at some point. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to start with a recap of yesterday. I think we had a really great day, very enriched discussions. But let me first start by welcoming the Minister of Ghana, who has just arrived, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prem. Thank you, Minister, for coming. So just to acknowledge him coming. Let me also inform you that our friend Beatrice is feeling much better since, as you know, yesterday she had to leave for health issue. She's better now. And our minister from Gabon is also back in the room. Thank you. So let me go through quickly the recap. It's a summary. The Minister of Basic Education, Ms. Angie Moseha, welcomed the participant and stated the forum aims to showcase, share, discuss comprehensive and innovative education, training models and programs that aim at developing the leadership, skills, and equipping the youth with the necessary knowledge, tools, and know-how for employability or job creation. She then invited the President of South Africa, to open the forum. The President reiterated the need for Africa to invest in its youth people as the continent's highest yielding resource to reap maximum benefit from the continent demographic dividend. Reminded us of the need for young people to work and contribute taxes to subsidize social programs for the elderly. This requires our education system to be capable, accessible, and focused, prepared for technological change, aligned to the needs of the economy that narrows the mismatch between the skills young people acquire and the needs of the labor market. With the fourth sorry, I'm missing a point here. Sorry. So the President called for changing the direction of secondary education. I'm using a computer that is not mine, so not easy to move around, but I will do it. So I was saying he called for changing the direction of secondary education, secondary school education by promoting foundational cognitive skills in STEM, integrating digital skills such as coding, accompanied by soft skills such as emotional intelligence and structured problem solving and reasoning skills, and interpersonal skills and excellent communication skills. Promoting critical thinking skills to drive job creation and economic growth in the future. Ensuring secondary schools offer both technical and soft skills, focusing on the entire value chain, on the dominant agricultural sector and the growing service sector that includes ICT, customer services, sales and human resources in areas such as entertainment, restaurant, tourism, and transport. Achieving the above necessitates having educators skilled to function in the modern economy, developing curricula that are relevant to the economy, strong public-private partnership to support the above, flexible pathways between general education and TVET, as not every learner is qualified to pursue an academic track. The AUC Head of Education Division recalled the AU Vision, Agenda 2063, of ensuring that all children complete secondary education at minimum, and the acquisition of knowledge and skill for better careers and fulfilled life, among other aspects. She noted that completion of quality secondary education will be the key to significantly reducing dependence on insecure employment for young people, but also noted the need to address the full spectrum of education. She reiterated the common need to grow teacher numbers and quality by raising entry requirement to restore status and effectiveness of the teaching profession. According priority to STEM education and digitization and linking EMIS, the Education Management Information System, to the labor market information. The Executive Secretary of ADEA gave an overview of the forum in terms of objectives and expected outcomes. Honorable Minister of Education, Science and Technology of Malawi, he thanked the host country and ADEA partners on behalf of the fellow ministers from Chad, Niger, Guinea, South Sudan, Zimbabwe, Angola, DRC, and the Secretary General from Senegal and Burkina Faso, as well as the representative from Rwanda, Ivory Coast, Benin, and Uganda. Keynote speech from Sizwe Nsasana on future skills in the context of changing nature of work highlighted the critical of technology in leapfrogging the improvement of education, the need to focus more on indigenous languages to improve learning. He also observed that EdTech innovation are currently focused on marginalized populations, and the politics, silo-based mentality, and poor collaboration among stakeholders, as well as slowness of implementing changes, are some of the challenges holding Africa back. The representative of MasterCard Kimberley presented the key messages from the secondary education report. She highlighted that secondary education is increasingly becoming the platform for preparing youth for the world of work, and hence the need for a paradigm shift reforming this subsector. The reform includes revisiting the skills set young people need to increase their adaptability and resilience. Some of the examples: foundational skills, 21st century skills, and skills for the world of work. It also necessitated attracting strong applicants in the teaching profession to improve quality teaching and learning, flexible pathways between general education and TVET, and embracing innovation include the use of technology. Of course, it's important that, as you mentioned, to consider reform that will be required in education system, and lastly, seeking innovative financing approaches to secondary education. After this, as you remember yesterday morning, after this we went through group sessions and we had reports just before we closed yesterday. We have reports from rapporteurs and that was ending yesterday. And of course, I would also mention the wonderful dinner that was offered to us by the Ministry of Basic Education of South Africa and the wonderful dancers of last evening. So this is really a quick summary of the recap. Sorry, because but the computer I'm using is not mine. Sometimes it's very difficult to move around with such a computer. Let me take us through now the next session. I'm moving to the next session of this morning. It's just a very short introduction before we start the second ministerial roundtable. I'm going to be talking about translation of this wonderful discussion going on so that we can actually continue or implement some of the recommendations that will come out of this discussion as an anticipation. The idea that ADEA had together with our partners was to initiate a new inter-country quality node on secondary education. And the needs for this suggest translating the outcome of the ongoing conversation into action, moving forward, ensuring statements and recommendations from this forum enrich the study outcomes, creating an enabling environment that support countries in reforming secondary education to better prepare Africa youth for the future of work. So basically, the ADEA Inter-Country Quality Node, what we call in acronym ICQN, the thematic-based and country-led networks bringing together countries facing similar challenges with strategic partners to promote dialogue and collective learning for collaborative action. That's really one of the important mission of an ICQN. Built on the conviction that improving Africa's education system is only possible when main actors are committed to and on the process. Regional cooperation is key for providing solutions to common challenges and pooling human and financial resources that no individual country can fully mobilize. The third and more also critical mission of this ICQN is to serve as a peer learning platform for accumulating information on innovative educational experiences in Africa. And last but not least, support effective program implementation through lessons learned from country and partner experiences. So basically, the ICQN, it's an acronym that people need to be familiar with. But the whole idea is to make sure that whenever we have an opportunity of this kind of forum, being such a high-level forum, or thematic workshop that we're running in different countries, is the way we take forward resolutions from those meetings to make sure that actually there are actionable things that come out of it, so that when we next meet, we can share some of the practices, some of the challenges, and as we move forward. And that has already been a practice for some time, although we still need to make sure that we strengthen some of this ICQN that we already have in countries. Just to share with you the number of ICQN that are already present, available. So we have an ICQN in peace education that is hosted by Kenya. We have one on technical and vocational skill development hosted by Ivory Coast. One on literacy and national languages hosted by Burkina Faso. One on mathematics and science education hosted by Kenya. One on early childhood development hosted by Mauritius. One on teaching and learning hosted by Rwanda. one on higher education and scientific research hosted by Senegal, and the last, not least, non-formal education hosted by Burkina Faso. So these are the countries that have actually offered to host this ICQN, and they are hosted under the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education will second one of its employees to become a coordinator of an ICQN. And an ICQN does not belong to a country. The country facilitates coordination, communication, and member countries, based on their interests, based on their challenges, they actually become members of a given ICQN. So we believe there's a need, indeed, of an ICQN in secondary education based on the study itself, the report of the study, based on the discussion that we had since yesterday. I think it's important that we consider secondary education in this perspective, particularly with that linkage that we have clearly shown, moving from connection between private secondary education and the labor market. And the overall objective of this ICQN will be to assist African countries with partner support to reform policies and strategies for effective secondary education in Africa, guided by the outcome of the current conversation, but also by the study itself, the secondary education in Africa study. Specific objectives supporting the following: development of skills for adaptability and resilience, foundational skills, 21st century skills, and skills for the world of work. Teacher preparation and continuous professional development. Flexible pathways between general education and TVET to accommodate diverse young people. The last one, innovation in reform, including the use of technology. So those are some of the really specific objectives we think such an ICQN will actually bring forward to make sure that countries can be able to engage in the peer learning, in policy and strategies to support implementation of various innovations as we've been discussing since yesterday. So mine is simple, it's really to rely on a call for African countries here present to be members of this ICQN on secondary education. We have already requested Botswana. Unfortunately, the minister could not make it. We already requested Botswana to host this new ICQN. We are still interacting with the Minister of Education of Botswana. And the hope is that by early next year, we should have the ICQN already operational. What I would like, especially in this meeting, is to invite ministers present here or representative of ministers, if they feel they are really specific interests or challenges that they believe becoming member of this ICQN will definitely help to address some of the issues, some of the challenges they are facing. They are free to do so, to become a member. So that's really what I wanted to share with you in this particular. I just wanted to open for 5-10 minutes if there's any specific questions or any input, or if a country would like to be part of this. Just for a few minutes. Thank you so much. A quick comment. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Any comment? Any question? Yes. Minister of South Sudan.
Thank you very much. I just want to indicate that South Sudan would be a member, would be interested to be a member of this ICQN. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Minister. Yes.
Are you going to circulate again the different topics for us to really again identify, because we may not be able to be part of all of them, but just choose those that we...
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. So I think my team is hearing. So we need to, because I know some of countries may have not been informed, they may have not had a chance to be informed about the ICQNs, and we're still open for countries to be a member of any of these ICQN, as I've already stated. So we'll do that. Any other country, any question? Feel free. Or comment. We are still morning time. The Francophone, feel free to speak in French. There's no language limit here. Burkina Faso? Yeah. So if there's no comment, we can move to our next plenary session, the Ministerial Roundtable. May I call upon my team just to share the, this morning I'll be with you until I think coffee break? Yeah. So let me call following ministers on stage. Minister Marie Sangare, Minister for National Education and Literacy from Guinée. Monsieur le ministre, vous pouvez nous joindre ici, sur le plateau. Honorable Minister Matthew Opoku. So I have to call you immediately. We need to take an opportunity of having you here. Yeah. So please have a seat. Minister Yolande Nyonda, Deputy Minister for National Education and Civic Training from Gabon. Madame la Ministre, vous êtes invitée. Madame Kadi Diop Bodji, Secretary General in the Ministry of Education of Senegal. So the topic of this morning is going to be moving the secondary education transformation agenda forward through an ICQN on secondary education. The question is, how have countries approached education reform? So that's basically what we'll be discussing here, is to hear from countries how they have been really engaged in education reform. I'm going to be moderating this session, and the rapporteur is Helen Inyenga from the Department of Education, Communication and Technology from the University of Nairobi. Helen, will you be coming probably near, or you want to stay there? Okay, all right. Yeah. So, without taking too much time, I would like to thank the ministers here that are going to share with us the approaches that they have gone through for education reform. And as you know, education, like any other sector, in this dynamics, economics and social dynamics, it is always important to try and align the education system accordingly. And that's why today, as we talk about secondary education, based on the reports, based on the different discussions that we have held, the need for reform will still be there. And I would like, therefore, to request ministers here present to share with us some of the approaches that they've been using to make sure that actually reform are made and are executed, because in the end, a reform in the end is what you get out of it. Being a policy, being a strategy, it actually the result that you expect to get out of it. So let me start by Honorable the Minister Sangare, Minister from National Education and Literacy from Guinea. Monsieur le Ministre, c'est à vous la parole. Je vais demander que vous passez 5 minutes. 5 minutes pour partager avec nous les réformes que vous avez engagées en matière d'éducation et les approches que vous avez utilisées. Merci.
Merci, monsieur l'ADEA. En République de Guinée, nous avons eu des soucis par rapport à la scolarisation des élèves. Et vous comprendrez que tout système éducatif souhaite que le maximum d'apprenants puissent aboutir à la formation visée. Alors ainsi, au niveau du cycle primaire, par exemple, nous avons, à la fin du cycle primaire, créé une institution qu'on appelle les centres de formation des jeunes, c'est-à-dire les jeunes qui ne réussissent pas à faire plus que l'examen, c'est-à-dire plus que le cycle primaire, sont orientés dans ces postes primaires pour faire la coiffure, pour faire le carrelage, ainsi de suite. Et au niveau de la fin du cycle, du premier cycle secondaire, c'est-à-dire la 10e année, il y a les centres de perfectionnement professionnel qui récupèrent les élèves qui n'ont pas pu continuer pour une raison ou pour l'autre. Et actuellement, à l'ouverture prochaine, nous allons amorcer la diversification des filières qui ressemble beaucoup à ce qui nous réunit ici. Et nous espérons que cet atelier permettra de nous donner des coups de franche par rapport à la mise en œuvre de ces actions. Voilà.
Thank you, Minister, for your quick, and thank you for respecting the time. Minister Dr. Matthew, I know Ghana is one of the countries that have really undertaken quite a number of reforms, particularly in education. And I had a chance to participate in one of the sessions during a meeting in Dubai when you were actually sharing some of the practices that Ghana is engaging in transforming the education to introduce skills-based programs. So what I would like really to that you share with us some of these approaches that you've been engaging, some of the challenges that you are facing, and how you believe using collaboration among countries, we can together address those issues and challenges that you're facing. Thank you.
I'll start with saying thank you for inviting me to be here. We came into office in 2017, and before we got there were a lot of challenges with the educational system. Challenges that has culminated in poor learning outcomes. It was so bad that in 2015 on the PISA test assessment, we came last. So there was a need to reform or we die, because Ghanaians had prided themselves on a fantastic educational system for a very long time. But there we were, comparing 76 countries, we were last. So there was a need to do what we'll call not a reform, but really a transformation of our educational system. We had to juggle all the balls, whether it was in basic or primary education, where only 2% of our primary 2 pupils could read and write at that level, whether it was in secondary education, where only 30% passed mathematics and probably 40% passed English. So it was that bad. And the dropout rate in a secondary education was about 22%. over 100,000 kids qualified for secondary education every year and couldn't attend because of fees. So we had to look at everything and change everything because we couldn't continue doing the same thing and expect new report. So the first thing we did was to address the 5 big issues in quality education. You need a very good curricula, a modern curricula that suits everything. Fortunately, we've changed the kindergarten to primary school curricula, that we are introducing a new standard-based curricula with a national assessment on that from September. We had to look at secondary education. My party had fought 3 elections on secondary education, making it free, because there was a high attrition rate from junior high school to senior high school. And we were losing about 100,000 kids on the streets a year. So we started that one too in 2017, and in September this year, we are looking at transforming the curricula in junior high schools and senior high schools. The third pillar was skills-based training. In Ghana, we're fortunate that in a secondary school, some were purely technical schools. We had about 47 technical schools. We had about 186 secondary technical schools and about 400 and something purely general education secondary schools. So we needed to look at our whole skills and see how we can use it to prepare after secondary school for the life of work. So we took certain decisions. One was to reform the curricula in all the technical and vocational education in the country, have a standard modern curricula, which is competency-based training, and also re-equip the technical and vocational education institutions. And not only that, also centralize technical and vocational education. In the country, there were about 19 ministries that were involved in technical and vocational education. So we had to bring everything to education, standardize and modernize the curricula, build new institutions, and also start an advocacy where the general populace realizes that going through technical or vocational education is not a dead end. It's not for dropouts or for sub-citizens or for the poor mentally. Actually, it is far better than even going to general education. So that is ongoing. We put a panel of experts. We are fortunate to have some of the world's best experts. I hear one is even moderating a session today to tell us the roadmap. Fortunately, Cabinet adopted a roadmap, and we are in the middle of transforming and revamping all our technical and vocational schools in the country, including building about 32 more of them. And not only that, we've also formed a university that will only train TVET teachers, because you need the teachers who are trained in the modern equipment and tools to be able to teach the next generation. We also have an economic agenda that is dependent upon industrialization to ensure employment for the youth, the teeming youth. So we call it one district, one factory. But you then need the kids to go into those industries to serve and to service the machines and to work. So it's a whole paradigm change that we are undergoing in the country as far as TVET agenda is concerned. That is the third lever. The fourth one was to affect the teachers. No matter what you do with the educational system, if you don't have motivated teachers, high-quality teachers, apart from the modern curricula, you can't succeed. So we have also transformed totally our teacher education system. Now, every teacher who is going to come and teach in the classroom will at least have a degree, no diplomas. You would have a degree to improve the content and the pedagogy at the same time. And that curriculum reflects what you are coming to do in the classroom. A curriculum that is based on the foundational literacy, reading, arithmetic, numeracy, creativity, that will also prepare the kids and the teachers to teach things that the children will need for the life of work, and also an emphasis on STEM, technical and vocational education, and ICT. That we have a second-year teachers going through their education. We have also started our professionalization of our teacher corps, including licensing. We've had a second test in the last 2 years. The first test, about 76% of the teachers passed. The second test, about 67% of the teacher passed. And then we have inculcated continuous professional development and the professional lesson groups in the schools, so that every Wednesday afternoon, the teachers of the school will meet to compare notes and see where they are going. So we also, the third leg, like I said, we are transforming the teacher education system to look up to bringing better pupils and students. And then for the kids themselves, they should be aspirational. And you need a motivated teacher to make the kids highly aspirational. Also what we are doing, and also the fourth point is the teaching and learning materials that are in school, whether they are fit for purpose. And that is the fourth leg that we have done, bringing the textbooks to the schools, bringing the STEM education into the basic schools from primary 4, bringing ICT, including coding, into the primary school from primary 4, hoping that you'll get the pipe where kids with aspiration wanting to do STEM-based ICT, TVET courses through to support our industrialization agenda and our employability issue. So basically, we don't call it reform, because where we were, we couldn't reform. We have to transform everything so that we can assure ourselves of a quality education for better learning outcomes.
Thank you, Minister. You can see I've given you opportunity since you were not here yesterday. So at least you can catch up on some of the time that we could have used here. But thank you. I'll get back to you later. So let me move on to our Deputy Minister from Gabon. And the Minister of Ghana has made a very important point, which is actually holistical transformation. Because you cannot address education by tackling just one issue. They are interrelated. So I'd like to hear from you, particularly in the context of Gabon. This is a country that is also suffering, like many other countries, by lack of skills and depending much on manpower from outside in sectors like wood, like oil, and other sectors. How are you dealing with that? How, on one side, you definitely need to train and to give skills to your young people, but on the other side, you are not able to address some of the key skills that your country is needed to move, actually, your economy to the next level. So how are you dealing with that in reforming your education and training system?
Bien, merci. Je voudrais d'abord présenter mes excuses à l'Assemblée pour n'avoir pas honoré le dîner d'hier. Comme la collègue de la Commission de l'Union africaine, j'ai eu une crise d'estomac qui m'a cloué au lit toute l'après-midi, mais ça va beaucoup mieux, ce qui me permet d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. Au nom du gouvernement gabonais, Madame le ministre, je voudrais également vous remercier pour l'accueil chaleureux qui a été mis à disposition de la délégation qui m'accompagne. Alors, au Gabon, nous avons mis en place un système pédagogique novateur au secondaire en introduisant dans le système professionnel et dans le système technique ce que nous appelons une formation d'apprentissage de type dual. Une formation d'apprentissage de type dual, c'est une formation qui consiste à permettre aux jeunes de faire 2 jours au lycée et 4 jours en entreprise. Nous nous sommes inspirés du système éducatif suisse. Et nous avons orienté ce système vers, pour l'instant, les métiers du bois, le sciage, le déroulage, la construction, et également vers les métiers mécaniques. Il faut savoir que le Gabon est un petit pays avec une petite économie. Notre jeunesse est très, comme dans tous les pays d'Afrique, 30 à 40% de la population est jeune. Et dans cette jeunesse, il y a une forte déperdition scolaire, surtout dans l'enseignement général. Donc, le système aujourd'hui éducatif est d'orienter beaucoup plus de jeunes vers l'enseignement technique afin qu'ils puissent se mettre rapidement dans le monde du travail. Les élèves font donc 4 jours en entreprise dans la semaine, se familiarisent avec l'entreprise. L'entreprise leur donne une caisse à outils. L'entreprise leur donne ce qu'on appelle une allocation qui varie entre 120 et 250 $ par mois. Et lorsqu'ils ont fini leur stage de formation, soit ils se mettent à leur compte, les meilleurs sont recrutés en entreprise, ou alors il y en a qui préfèrent poursuivre leurs études supérieures, mais sur le niveau technologique. Il faut également savoir qu'au Gabon, les enseignants font également une immersion dans l'entreprise pour qu'il y ait une réelle adéquation entre les enseignements au lycée et les besoins réels des entreprises. Voilà, je pense avoir globalement résumé ce que nous faisons, mais nous butons sur le désir des entreprises d'avoir des allègements fiscaux pour pouvoir poursuivre ce mécanisme. Donc, nous voulons en appeler aux bailleurs de fonds pour dire comment pouvez-vous aider le Gabon à familiariser davantage, à amplifier davantage cette formation qui permettra à un plus grand jeune de sortir rapidement du monde scolaire pour être opérationnel sur le monde de l'entrepreneuriat. Nous butons donc sur les avantages fiscaux à octroyer aux entreprises afin qu'elles puissent davantage amplifier ce mode de formation.
Merci, Madame la Ministre. So thank you, Deputy Minister. Let me now move to Senegal. Madame Kadi Diop Borges, Secretary General in the Ministry of Education. Yesterday, during the study report presentation, Senegal was highlighted as one of the countries that has gone through critical educational transformation. Let me use the word that the Minister of Ghana brought up. So it's more transformation than just reform, particularly in increasing the gross enrollment from primary and secondary education. Of course, increasing enrollment is one thing, but making sure you have the teachers, that the Minister of Ghana was actually saying, so making sure you have qualified teachers, because in the end, access is an entry point. The output is the capacity to raise the quality of education. So how do you tackle the balance between access and quality in your particular context? That would be one question. The second, how do you balance the capacity for the education system in Senegal to produce a great number of graduates, but in the same time, making sure the transition to the labor market is also effective? Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le modérateur, secrétaire exécutif de l'ADEA. Merci à l'ADEA de nous avoir réunis autour de ce thème important concernant le développement de l'enseignement secondaire. Peut-être je vais au début faire une clarification conceptuelle parce que d'un pays à l'autre, certainement, la configuration du système d'enseignement n'est pas le même. Quand on parle de secondaire ici, lors de ce forum, c'est peut-être le post-primaire. Après le primaire, chez nous, le secondaire, le post-primaire est organisé en 2 étapes. C'est d'abord l'enseignement moyen, le collège jusqu'à pendant 4 ans, et ensuite 3 ans d'enseignement secondaire qui est appelé ailleurs peut-être le pré-universitaire. Pour dire qu'au Sénégal, c'est comme ça. Nous avons le préscolaire, le primaire, le moyen et le secondaire. Au niveau de l'architecture, donc des ministères de l'éducation, nous avons 3 ministères de l'éducation qui gèrent le système éducatif. Nous avons le ministère de l'Éducation nationale, dont je relève, qui gère le préscolaire, l'élémentaire, le moyen et le secondaire général. Nous avons le ministère de l'enseignement technique et de la formation professionnelle, qui gère une partie du secondaire technique, et nous avons le ministère de l'enseignement supérieur. Je pense que c'est important de comprendre le contexte aussi. dans lequel nous avons engagé ces réformes au niveau de notre pays. C'est un contexte marqué par un défi persistant concernant l'efficacité interne et externe. L'efficacité interne, c'est les résultats scolaires et à tous les niveaux, y compris pour le secondaire. L'efficacité externe, vous l'avez dit, c'est que ces élèves qui sortent de notre système, pour qu'ils aient les compétences de base nécessaires qui puissent leur permettre de s'insérer harmonieusement dans le monde du travail. Donc, au niveau du Sénégal, nous avons évalué le système et nous avons vu que nous avons encore ces difficultés et ces défis persistants. Nous nous sommes inspirés de notre programme économique et social pour engager cette réforme. Notre plan Sénégal émergent, qui s'est fixé 3 objectifs stratégiques. C'est la transformation structurelle de l'économie, c'est le développement du capital humain, mais c'est aussi la bonne gouvernance à travers les institutions. Nous, on a voulu réformer, mettre à jour notre programme d'éducation en rapport avec ces 3 objectifs stratégiques, ce qui nous a permis d'engager ce processus donc, de réforme. Et notre programme d'éducation, le paquet, qu'on appelle le paquet, c'est le programme d'amélioration de la qualité, de l'équité et de la transparence. On s'est fixé aussi 3 objectifs. C'est d'abord l'amélioration de la qualité, ensuite de l'équité, avoir un système d'éducation équitable, et enfin la bonne gouvernance, l'amélioration donc de la gouvernance. Et à ce niveau, nous avons engagé la réforme à tous les niveaux et dans toutes les dimensions du système et dans une approche sectorielle. C'est important, c'est 3 ministères, mais qui ont le même programme d'éducation. Donc, dans une approche sectorielle, nous avons engagé cette réforme. Je ne vais pas partir des autres sous-secteurs, mais je vais mettre le focus pour les besoins de notre rencontre sur le secondaire. Au niveau du secondaire, nous étions dans un contexte aussi marqué dans le secondaire, parce que vous l'avez vu dans tous nos programmes initiaux, nous avions mis le focus sur l'élémentaire, mais surtout sur l'éducation de base. C'est normal, nous sommes des pays en voie de développement, nous avons encore ces difficultés pour mettre tout le monde à l'école. Donc pendant une dizaine d'années, nous avons mis le focus sur l'accès et pour le niveau élémentaire. Cela a eu des répercussions, normalement au niveau de leur arrivée maintenant, au niveau du secondaire, où nous n'avons pas pris toutes les dispositions pour accueillir tous ces enfants. Donc à ce niveau-là, nous avons défini donc, des orientations stratégiques. Nous avons mis le focus sur les infrastructures. C'était important à travers des créations de collèges de proximité, entre autres. Mais aussi au niveau du secondaire, nous avons pensé pour lier donc, le programme aux besoins donc, du marché et en rapport avec notre programme Sénégal donc, émergent, nous avons pensé réformer le curriculum donc, en vigueur, et ce qui nous a amené à avoir un programme avec une approche méthodologique basée sur les compétences au niveau donc, du moyen et secondaire général. Et c'est ce qui nous a amené à intégrer, mais aussi à prendre en compte une des directives présidentielles. Parce que nous avons entre-temps aussi tenu nos assises de l'éducation, et la première décision présidentielle issue de ces assises, c'était de réorienter le système vers les sciences, vers le numérique, mais surtout vers l'entrepreneuriat. Donc ça, c'était la première décision qu'il fallait aussi intégrer dans ce processus donc, de réforme. Ce qui nous a poussé donc à réviser notre curriculum au niveau du secondaire avec cette approche basée sur les compétences. Nous l'avons dit depuis hier, les compétences du XXIe siècle. Mais dans la révision de ce curriculum aussi, nous avons pensé mettre le focus sur les disciplines scientifiques qui sont des disciplines fondamentales, qui préparent déjà l'élève. Et ces disciplines scientifiques, c'était les mathématiques, les sciences, et nous avons aussi à revoir les crédits horaires, donc impartis à ces disciplines, et l'approche méthodologique pour enseigner aussi ces disciplines. C'est ce qui nous a amené au Sénégal parce qu'avant, les sciences physiques étaient enseignées à partir de la seconde. Nous avons pensé ramener l'enseignement donc maintenant des sciences physiques au niveau de la classe de 4e. Tout ça, c'est des... Nous avons aussi pensé développer l'informatique pédagogique, le numérique, à travers 2 dimensions. C'est le numérique dans les activités d'enseignement-apprentissage au niveau du secondaire, mais aussi le numérique dans le management des établissements. Ça aussi nous a permis d'aller vers une transformation numérique du système pour beaucoup plus d'efficacité donc, et peut-être d'efficience dans la manière d'enseigner. Nous avons aussi introduit des programmes spécifiques sur l'entrepreneuriat. Et actuellement, en cours, nous avons un programme important qui consiste à renforcer les capacités des enseignants dans le domaine donc, de l'entrepreneuriat. Et nous sommes appuyés par la fondation Mastercard, que nous remercions au passage, qui nous soutient dans ce domaine-là et depuis 2 ans, dans un programme qui consiste à former, renforcer les capacités donc, des enseignants dans le domaine de l'entrepreneuriat et à l'introduction de ces notions aussi dans le curriculum de l'éducation.
Je vais vous arrêter.
Je vais terminer pour dire qu'il y a une mesure spéciale que nous avons aussi prise pour développer cette transition vers le monde du travail. C'est la création de lycées d'excellence scientifique. Je pense que c'est important et nous sommes en train de le dérouler. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Senegal. Minister Matthew, I have to acknowledge I had a chance to go through some of the changes, the transformation that are happening in Ghana. And you raised a number of things that Ghana is doing, and I really appreciate the transformation that are happening. But the question to you, like any other decision makers here, is the issue of scarcity of resources, particularly in a sector that has what I call, let me call them clients. These young people they are like clients for the sector. And they are increasingly becoming actually more, and you definitely need to continue raising resources to support the kind of transformation that you are talking about, being infrastructure, so you definitely need infrastructure. There's no way you can talk about skills development without considering the issue of infrastructure. You raised the importance of having motivated teachers. Of course, motivation also means a bit of resources for teachers to feel motivated, and others aspects. Where do you get money for this?
Thank you. Like I said, the reform towards quality education and improved learning outcomes is founded on 5 pillars. I've already talked about high-quality teachers, modern curriculum and assessment, high-quality teaching and learning materials, high aspiration and standards for the student. And the 5th one was school leadership and management, how our schools are better governed and managed. But whatever we're doing, we have the focus on access, where we want 100% access, up to secondary education, because whether we like it or not, we have signed up to the SDGs that is talking about a right to secondary education for both boys and girls by 2030. My party had fought 3 elections on making secondary education free. Our constitution has bestowed upon us that imperative that we should make free education to increasing levels. In 2002, we started with free compulsory universal basic education, introducing school feeding, capitation grants, school uniforms for poor students, sandals for poor students, deworming, school health, and the host. That made us achieve gender parity in basic education as far back as 2005. In middle school, where people call it middle school or where we will call it junior high school, the parity is 0.99 for the last 8-9 years. You get to secondary school and it drops to about 60% of the class that went into class 1. So the high dropout rate. So bringing in free access, not free, access, opening up and making sure that people don't go to secondary school not because of money. So is where are we getting the money from? But access, equity, quality, skills development, and infrastructure were the 5 pillars that underpin our free senior high school program. We have calculated as a country that if we think education is important, it's expensive, what about ignorance? For the last 10 years before we started free secondary education, like I said, nearly 100,000 students qualified for secondary school that were thrown out. They were thrown out unskilled and really with poor chances in life. We had an education, a law that prevented people less than 18 from working. And we're throwing students out at 15. So we had to be reasonable. And the president had decided that God had blessed us around 2012 with commercial oil. If it means putting all our resources from oil into education, it's a better use than those of us with creative talent finding ways of using the money without accounting for it. So it was a commitment and a prioritization by a president that in the modern world, there is no modern economy that does not afford free secondary education to its citizens. So it was better to put the kids in classroom and train them with a certain skill or train them to get to the university. Because secondary education is really about preparing somebody for the life of work. Not everybody can go to university, but everybody must work. So your educational system must train people to work. And that is why our emphasis was on skill development and whatever. But those things. But as to where we are finding the money, I've talked about our oil resources. We have a fund called Ghana Education Trust Fund that to deal with the infrastructure, because we opened access, there was a need to build more schools. We have a 2.5% VAT tax solely dedicated to educational infrastructure. What we then decided that we need the schools now, not in 20 years' time or 10 years' time. So we'll leverage, we'll securitize part of the GET funds, 40% for the next 15, 20 years. Borrow money, a huge sum of money, $1.5 billion that our parliament has supported us in tranches, because your ability to absorb and utilize is very important. Borrow it in tranches of 500 million and put it into infrastructure and equipment and rehabilitation. So as we are expanding access, we are building in the infrastructure to accommodate. What have we achieved in 2 years? Between 2014, 15, 16, the total number of students in our secondary school was about 850,000. In 2017 and 2018, because of free senior high school, as we speak, we have about 800,000. When we admit for the third year, next month, into our senior secondary schools, we would have a population of about 1.2 billion. So in 3 years, we've increased access by about 43%. What would have happened? These are the ones I'm talking about, nearly 400,000 students who would have fallen. Not that they didn't qualify for senior high school or secondary school, but they would just not have been able to get into the secondary school because of financial difficulty. Imagine putting these 400,000 students through secondary education, preparing them better than at the age of 15 years into the life of work through skills training or general education. It's much, 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 much better relatively for the economic development of our country than to have a lot of ignorant people working and selling petty goods by the roadside. Just before I sat on the plane coming here, I hope that we can continue. We have achieved some dramatic results because of the interventions that we've done. Because for the first time in about 10 years, we started buying textbooks or core textbooks for the schools. We bought supplementary readers for the schools. We paid extra bit of money for the teachers to teach, extend, and give tutorials for those kids in the secondary schools. Not only that, we also bought math revision book because mathematics is killing us. Only about 35% passed maths. And the West African Examination Council just released the latest results. And we've been able to, within 2 years, move, and I hope we can sustain it, move the pass rate in maths from 35%, 38% to 65%. So it means that if we purpose ourselves to give access and give voice to the voiceless, we may be able to transform the generation with a knowledgeable generation of citizens, not an ignorant generation of citizens. We've improved on all the core subjects, maths, which is very dramatic, English, social studies, and integrated science. So we believe that with these results percolating or coming through, we'll be energized to put even more resources in to develop an educational system with a better learning opportunities and learning outcomes for the general citizenry. A modern economy needs an educated citizenry. If we believe in democracy, I keep saying, democracy is founded on two pillars, an educated citizenry and a well-traveled citizenry. If we want to prevent the tide that we see on our TVs of Africans dying by the boats and going to Europe, we have to prepare our citizenry with the skills needed to change that drama. And that is what my president is talking about. We need them to transform our economies from aid dependency to beyond aid and self-sufficiency. So for us, it's a matter of do or die. And we prefer to put our money in education. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you so much for intervention. So, Minister Sangare, yesterday, the report again, I'm just referring to this report. One of the findings is that we will definitely, no matter how much reforms that we'll be engaging in, but as far as labor market is concerned, the informal sector will still be there and may also be attracting a number of these graduates to expel from secondary education. So I would like to hear from you, particularly in your contexts. How are you supporting the informal sector so that it can actually attract a good number of these young people coming out of school? Thank you.
Merci. Le secteur informel est très développé. Et par exemple, quand je prends le poste primaire, les élèves qui finissent le poste primaire à l'issue d'une formation de 3 ans, ils font des stages dans des ateliers, dans des chantiers, etc. C'est au bout de ces 3 ans qu'ils finissent par avoir des contacts et des groupes à travers lesquels ils peuvent s'intégrer et travailler. C'est la même chose au niveau des élèves qui sortent après 3 ans de formation en qualité d'ouvriers qualifiés au niveau des centres de formation professionnelle. Après 10 ans de scolarisation, lorsqu'un élève ne peut pas continuer parce qu'il n'a plus de soutien, ou en tout cas il y a des problèmes qui l'empêchent de continuer, ils s'orientent là et ils font cette formation. Mais dans tous les cas, le grand problème, c'est la qualité des maîtres qui forment. Et vous savez, plus le maître est performant, son produit est tout de suite facile à intégrer dans un système de partenariat, en tout cas d'entrepreneuriat. Si le maître ne forme pas bien, ça se répercute sur le produit et le produit peut continuer à se promener partout sans trouver de l'emploi. Donc, nous avons ce problème. Nous avons ce problème même au niveau de la création des filières que nous avons déjà fini sur le papier, que nous devons démarrer pendant cette rentrée scolaire 2019-2020, c'est-à-dire en octobre. Il y a des problèmes au niveau de la qualification des enseignants qui doivent enseigner dans ces filières. Il faut avoir des nouveaux enseignants bien formés dont le niveau de compétence correspond aux besoins exprimés dans ces filières. Mais il faut aussi recycler les anciens parce qu'il faut qu'ils travaillent. Donc on a ces problèmes-là qui souvent sont les raisons pour lesquelles tous ceux qui sortent de nos écoles ne peuvent pas avoir un point de chute. Et aussi, vous savez, c'est un pays minier, la Guinée, Et il y a beaucoup d'opportunités maintenant et dans l'avenir. Mais faut-il avoir une bonne formation et diriger vers ses besoins comment on appelle ça, ses besoins d'emploi. Sinon, c'est la main-d'œuvre qualifiée des pays voisins que nous utilisons le plus souvent. Donc, si ça suffit, je crois que...
C'est bon.
Voilà.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. So, quickly, Minister Yolande, you are also responsible for civic education in your Ministry of Education. And again, yesterday, during the one of the group sessions, the issue of leadership skills came up. Because the young people that we are actually training today are the leaders of tomorrow. And they need to learn how to lead beyond technical skills. How are you tackling on this issue of building foundational skills in the context of Gabon?
Alors, je voudrais dire effectivement que depuis le dernier gouvernement, la formation civique a été rattachée au ministère de l'Éducation nationale. Et comme vous l'avez dit, si nous devons bâtir des leaders de demain, que ce soit en général ou en formation technique et professionnelle, il est fondamental que ces leaders de demain partent avec une formation civique assez poussée. Nous avons donc augmenté des curricula, nous allons augmenter des curricula d'enseignement civique, aussi bien à l'enseignement général qu'à l'enseignement professionnel, parce que dans notre pays, je pense que ça doit être la même chose partout, avec toutes les nouvelles technologies que nous voyons pousser, que nous voyons les enfants, l'éducation, etc. Parfois, les parents qui se relâchent, nous craignons fortement pour ces leaders que nous devons former demain. Donc, nous mettons en place, à partir de cette année, une forte campagne d'éducation civique, une très forte campagne d'éducation physique. Nous augmenterons les cours de civisme dans les établissements. Nous commencerons déjà depuis le primaire pour poursuivre à l'université, de sorte que ces jeunes qui sont espérés être nos leaders de demain puissent arriver avec un bagage civique. Je voudrais dire qu'au Gabon, nous avons constaté une recrudescence de la violence en milieu scolaire. Forte recrudescence de la violence en milieu scolaire. C'est quasiment chaque mois qu'un élève est tué, que des élèves se battent, que des couteaux sont introduits à l'enseignement. Donc c'est assez préoccupant aujourd'hui pour notre pays et nous comptons donc améliorer les curricula, former davantage des profs dans l'enseignement civique.
Merci, merci. So the last question before I open the floor to the audience is for Senegal. Again, as I said at the beginning, and I raised this question with the Minister of Ghana, Senegal is one of the countries that is actually seated and has gone through holistic transformation, particularly as far as education is concerned. And the issue of resources is, of course, of importance. Not only to support the infrastructure, as you correctly suggested, but we also support the equity. As we know, a number of these young people living in the rural areas, in poor settings, they will not be able to attend education if they are not supported. Therefore, the need to subsidize, as much as possible and allow as many young people to access education. So I'd like to hear from you as a country that has really done a great innovative actions. How do you tackle the issue of alternative financing mechanisms to support education beyond support or from the budget or from any other partner? Are you able to raise resources from your private sector, from any other partner that within the education system? It's 2 minutes for that. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le modérateur. Je vais essayer d'aller vite pour dire que le financement de l'éducation relève d'une préoccupation partagée par tous les pays. Je pense qu'on n'aura jamais trouvé suffisamment de moyens pour faire face aux besoins de nos systèmes éducatifs. Au niveau du Sénégal, près d'un tiers du budget est consacré à l'éducation. C'est un effort important. L'éducation constitue une priorité dans la répartition du budget. Mais cela ne suffit pas. Il y a encore des besoins et beaucoup de besoins. Et au niveau des écoles, je pense que pour assurer la gratuité, l'éducation gratuite, nous avons subventionné. Par exemple, pour les écoles primaires, il n'y a pas de frais, c'est gratuit. C'est seulement au niveau du secondaire que quelques participations, il y a des participations au niveau des élèves, mais c'est très, très minime. Tous les établissements du Sénégal sont subventionnés, bénéficient d'une subvention donc, du gouvernement pour les aider à mieux fonctionner. Mais nous faisons aussi recours aux partenariats. Les efforts de l'État, dans le budget de l'État, c'est presque plus de 80% du budget supporté par l'État. Le reste, c'est par nos partenaires. Nous avons aussi des partenaires qui, depuis longtemps, depuis une trentaine d'années, nous soutiennent donc, dans l'édification de notre système éducatif. Et c'est des financements très importants qui nous permettent de faire face aux défis et aux objectifs qu'on s'est fixés. Le financement, c'est aussi le secteur privé. Je pense que nous avons su réussir à organiser le secteur privé pour l'éducation. Nous avons une fondation du secteur privé pour l'éducation qui est organisée et qui travaille en étroite relation avec nous et qui nous aide à trouver des fonds au niveau des entreprises pour les mettre à la disposition donc, de l'école. Mais aussi, cette fondation du secteur privé fait du plaidoyer, fait du funding, comment on dit ça en anglais, recherche de financement pour donc mettre dans l'éducation. Il y a le partenariat mondial, comme tous les autres pays ici présents presque, qui aussi nous vient en appoint, le partenariat mondial pour l'éducation, pour dire qu'au niveau du Sénégal, le financement demeure une préoccupation. Mais aussi, l'État est en train, en rapport avec ses partenaires, de s'organiser et de pouvoir... il y a aussi la part des ménages. Je pense qu'au niveau du Sénégal, il y a une part importante des ménages, des parents d'élèves, de la communauté, des collectivités donc, territoriales qui contribuent, qui ont des compétences transférées dans l'éducation et qui contribuent d'une manière ou d'une autre donc, au financement de l'école.
Thank you for your intervention. So we only have 10 minutes for interventions from the audience. If you have a specific question to one of the panelists or any intervention that you would like to share. So I have one. Oh, in the same table. So Minister, of course. Emmanuel, the lady. So let me start with ladies first. So let me pick 4 and then, but 1 minute to allow as many interventions as possible. Minister, I will start from you.
No, from the Minister of, I can't hear myself. From the Minister of Ghana, my interest is around change management. As you do these reforms, how you really manage your constituency, your teachers, and the whole education community to not only to buy, but to adjust to radical changes that you put in the system. So it's around the people's management in the process.
Thank you. There's someone there? Yes. Can you introduce yourself?
Okay. Oui, merci, bonjour. Je suis Abdel Rahman Babamoussa. Je suis le secrétaire général de la conférence des ministres de l'éducation et de la francophonie. Donc j'en profite pour vous remercier de nous avoir associés à cette réunion. Alors je voudrais faire une contribution très rapide parce qu'on parle de réforme de l'éducation, de réforme de l'enseignement secondaire. Et il me semble que l'ODD 4, en rallongeant l'éducation de base à l'enseignement, à progressif de l'enseignement secondaire, en ouvrant à l'apprentissage tout au long de la vie et au développement de la formation professionnelle, constitue vraiment pour moi une occasion pour les pays africains de faire une réforme d'ensemble. Donc pour moi, la réforme de l'enseignement secondaire doit s'inscrire dans cette réforme d'ensemble que Madame la SG du Sénégal essayait de présenter. Et cette réforme doit concerner les curricula, je ne vais pas aller dans les détails, mais les curricula, la question enseignante, parce qu'il faut professionnaliser les enseignants et revoir leur statut par rapport à cette nouvelle configuration de l'éducation de base, et la gouvernance, parce que comme l'a dit Madame la ministre, il y a beaucoup de pays africains où les ministères de l'éducation sont multiples et travaillent chacun de leur côté. Aujourd'hui, avec l'allongement de la scolarisation obligatoire, la réforme de l'éducation, de l'enseignement secondaire, doit concerner les collèges, parce que désormais les collèges vont être rattachés à l'éducation de base, mais aussi les lycées, puisqu'il faudra réinscrire les lycées dans un cadre plus global où le lien est fait avec l'enseignement supérieur, mais aussi avec toutes les formations d'éducation non formelle des adultes et du renforcement des capacités qui généralement ne sont pas prises en compte par le système éducatif. Et je pense que l'ADEA et la Confemène peuvent mettre en place une collaboration efficace pour accompagner les pays francophones d'Afrique dans ces réformes-là. Et c'est ce que je voudrais vous dire et vous remercier encore.
Merci beaucoup. Merci. Just an intervention. Emmanuel, so quickly, 1 minute.
My name is Emmanuel Mutisia. I am with the African Development Bank. I'm just going to make one quick question and one comment. The question is that our countries are faced by political cycles, and each government comes in with good plans and agenda for development. Now that the case of Ghana, you have this GET fund, for example, and you have elections next year. How do we ensure that good plans and strategies for education are not affected by these political cycles? And then the next is a comment. Our countries in Africa are behind because we are still doing things in the same way, as the Ghana minister said. We are using curricula and teaching techniques that were created in the 19th century, yet we want to create jobs in the 21st century. We are talking about the fourth industrial revolution. Our curriculums are not prepared yet to cover the kind of training and skills that are required to fit in this fourth industrial revolution. What should we do as governments to make sure that we push our teachers and our systems to the levels to compete with the best? Thank you.
Thank you. The last one, yes. Quickly, 1 minute. Introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. My name is Kinewe from Lesotho. I'm the Youth Ambassador for Secondary Education in Africa. My question is directed to the Minister Ghana and the rest of the ministers. The majority of youth with speech and hearing impairment do not complete the full cycle of secondary education. And the minister from Ghana spoke about introduction of TVET, training program for teachers. I want to know if the training program also offers special skills for teachers to be able to interact with youth with speech and hearing impairment to enable them to have the skills necessary for the future of the work. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me request interventions. Maybe if we still have time. So may come back to you. Minister, that's the reason why I push you to come. You can see you are the star of the day. So please go through different interventions.
Thank you. I'm humbled. As a leader, if you don't have people skills or change management skills, then you don't ought to be a politician. One of the key skills a politician should have is how to manage the people. But you can only manage them if you can, together with them, identify the gaps or the need. And together with them, define the pathway out. We in Ghana have come to that conclusion. When I was going to secondary school Form 1, I could count the number of private institutions in basic education in Ghana, less than 10. Now, about 30% of our basic education is offered by the private sector. Why? Because the country has come to the decision that the public sector in basic education has collapsed. So those who were in that basic education, even the teachers who were teaching in basic education, did not have their wards and their children in those schools. It is also true that in Ghana, teachers in basic education or public education got paid 3 to 4 times higher than those in private education for the same level. But those in the private education were given 80% better learning outcomes than those in basic public education. So the whole country, we were last. It was public. So you don't reform, you die. Besides, those taking their children there are the poorest of the poor. So as a leader, you have to make the reality known to the people. You don't offer fake leadership. That there's only hard work that pays, smart working that pays. What do? We need to reform. Where do we have to start the reform for? Everywhere. You need to bring the unions on. the unions don't necessarily always represent the teachers. So you need to deal with the unions who can cause you the biggest problem to know that it is in their self-interest that we do the reform. You need to engage teachers, heads of schools, district directors of education. I think I've had many more meetings with my district directors of education, my heads of schools than any other group, to see to the necessity of what we are doing. You need to engage parents, of course. For most poor people, if you are offering them the opportunity of access without paying, they would love it. So when the president goes around the country, every part of the country he goes, you hear chiefs and people hold the mic and say, for the first time, we get people from this part of this country enjoying free secondary education in some of their best schools because we have introduced an equity element. So you need, as a leader, to develop your people's skills. You need to manage people's expectations. And you need to show dramatic results in some wins so that you can continue to motivate the people. Because people saw that the free SHS or secondary school was not a hoax, the second year, we had a jump in the number of students, 31%. So we had to create a situation where we could create access for 180,000 students. So we introduced a double track where we increased the number of hours in the day and reduced the number of days in the term so that we could have a double stream, one stream in, one stream wait and going. And by and large, we started to see results. So people should know that if they stay in school, you give them the access. They should see what we are trying to. And you as a politician, if you can't manage people's behavior, you can't manage the change, then probably you yourself need to go for people leadership skills. So that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to involve as many people. When we were designing the curriculum, it was only Ghanaians. Over 200 people at different levels got involved. We had one coordinator. We had probably a quality assurance group from outside the country. But it was Ghanaians who were doing the curriculum. Classroom teachers who are testing the curriculum. So it was ingrown. So there are a lot of people who could speak against it to damage you were part of the decision-making process. So the buy-in that you need to do. As to my lady that acts as a special education, we have an inclusive policy in Ghana. It's not only about equity, it's about inclusiveness. We have 35 schools in the basic system that is only dedicated to people with special needs. But apart from that, the bulk of people don't go to these schools. So we are trying through educational, teacher education curricula to inculcate into that curricula the need for inclusive education, where we would identify it in the classroom and offer the support in the general classroom. So it's like very, very important that as a country you have to have an inclusive policy agenda so that people with special needs who are not probably in the extreme or profound or would still be able to be identified but still put in the same class with the necessary support for the students. So we, apart from the equity agenda, we do practice inclusive education, and we practice this across board. Of course, we have to understand that whatever I'm saying, it is the context of a growing, a poor country trying to grow. So the resources are short, but we have to apply a lot of ingenuity in how we put our resources to what it suits us best. There was a question about, I don't think that question was for me though. The fourth industrial revolution, I'll pause. Our whole digital digitization agenda is towards that. That's why I said we have started introducing ICT, digital literacy, coding, digital intelligence from primary 4, both through the teacher education agenda and the school curriculum, to probably prepare some of the kids for coding and for life of digitization everywhere we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. So let me ask the other panelists if they have any comments, anything to add from Minister or from the audience, the interventions that we had anything that you would like to add on this?
Moi, je dirais que j'attendrai l'atelier sur le financement de la formation parce que ça reste encore une grosse préoccupation. C'est vrai que le Sénégal disait que beaucoup de le financement de la formation, il le prenait surtout sur le budget de l'État. Notre pays est en crise, on a un pays pétrolier, et donc nous subissons les affres de la crise pétrolière. Nous restons encore sur notre faim sur le financement de l'éducation, et donc j'espère que les ateliers tout à l'heure nous donneront des pistes pour pouvoir aider notre pays à pouvoir financer. Nous avons encore des classes de 70 élèves, 80 élèves, donc il y a un intérêt à financer les structures pour continuer. Merci.
Thank you. I think we have gone beyond the time. So I'm sorry there were a number of people that wanted to intervene, but I'm sure we'll have another opportunity during the day to provide. So now I think we are going for a coffee break. And then after the coffee break, we'll be again moving into group sessions. Is there any communication that you'd like for group sessions? Yeah. So a quick communication on group sessions after the coffee break.
Thank you, Albert. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will, as Albert has said, we are going straight into questions after the break. And the group sessions are 4, and they're in the rooms, the same arrangement as yesterday. So we will have the group session that is in room A, which is focusing on how can we make education systems more flexible to accommodate all youth. So those who are interested in that particular subject area, please, you go to group session A, which is the first room. The second one is dealing with systems that promote stronger linkages between the general education and technical and vocational education and training in terms of the different pathways that can facilitate that. So that is in the second room, which is B. The third one, which is group session C, is dealing with the whole area of innovation in education technology, helping to deliver secondary education at scale. So those who are interested in that particular group session, please go to the third room. And the last room is where we have discussions around the perspectives of the private sector on secondary education. So that is really the fourth and the last group. So after break, we'll go straight into the different groups. Break now, I think it's now what time? It's 5 to 11, and we were meant to start at 11, the breakout sessions. So we will give each other, I think, 20 minutes. And I will come again to try and push you into the rooms. So please don't beat me up. Thank you very much.